I'm Teresa, and today we're doing a tutorial on how to slay your wing liner. I really like this technique. I find that it works well for me, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. One of the key things I like to do before we start actually creating the wing is measuring out the angle at which we want our wing to be. This is really important actually because I know for me it was always so inconsistent, like sometimes it'd be out there, sometimes it'd be like way too high. So this little tip can really help you get a consistent line and make them even on each side. So what you want to do is take your brush and actually angle it at a diagonal from the tip of your nose, or not the tip, but more so the nostril, the end of the nostril of the nose, past the edge of your eye all the way to the end of your eyebrow. So this is going to create a diagonal line, and it's going to create the perfect angle for your winged liner. Now this is different for every eye shape and every person because dimensions are different, but overall this can really help get you a consistent angle every single time. Once you've got your angle down, you can go ahead and pick up your tools. So I like to use gel liner to start off my wing. I just find it the easiest to work with, especially when it's a good product, because it's just really smooth and usually very black. But even more important than the gel liner that you use is the brush, in my opinion. I think it's so important to have a good quality brush with a nice shape. That out of the way, we can start drawing on our wings. So what I like to do is I angle the brush with the longer tip directly onto the end of my eye, and with that perfect angle that we already found, we can just start drawing a very thin line. I always recommend starting thin and then building up because you can always add more product. Very easy to add more, harder to take off products. So start out thin, just draw a straight line as straight as possible. I do like to make my wing liner pretty fierce and bold, so I go pretty far out. I would say past the halfway mark to my eyebrow, not all the way touching my eyebrow obviously, but pretty much past the halfway mark. But you can totally do however thick, thin, long, short you want. It's really personable. And once you are happy with the length of that thin line, you can go ahead and start drawing a triangle shape back to your eyelid. This is basically our base wing, and we're gonna go ahead and fill that in, and you'll see the shape start to form. So once you've got your base down, you can go ahead and start shaping out the corners and the edges a little bit more. I like to make the middle part pretty thick and then taper it out towards the inner corner so it has a nice flowy shape. And don't worry too much if the edges are a little bit messy or if it's not exactly smooth, because we are going to be smoothing it out. Now that we've got that base layer of our wing down, I personally like to go ahead and smooth it out, thicken it up a bit, and just shape it perfectly. For this step, I go in with my NYC liquid liner. This is an amazing liquid liner. It is drugstore. It's like $2 or $3, I think, and it has such a great applicator on it. The applicator is very thin, so it allows you to work with precise strokes, which I really like. Again, going with that same concept of starting out light and then building up is really key. So with this liner, I'm just going to touch up any spots that need it and smooth everything out. Layering your liners is really going to help get a super black line, and it's also going to help just make everything almost look like velvet. That's how I think of it, at least. It really does look like black velvet to me when I layer these two liners, and I really love the effect because everything looks smoothed out, clean, sharp, and as close to perfection as we can get. Once I'm done smoothing out the lid section, I do like to go out and flick the end a little bit. That reminds me of the Instagram video. Do you see that flick of the wrist? You all know what I'm talking about. So flick it out right at the end so we get that nice tapered wing. This was a really hard look for me to achieve for a long time, but I highly recommend using something with a very thin applicator tip and using very little product and just flicking it out lightly. It's really going to give you that gradient of shape and the kind of tapered wing that we all want, you know? So as you can see, it's like thick at the bottom and then it gets thin right at the end. You can tell what a difference it makes when you layer those two liners, and again, you can use different mediums, but this is just what I find works best. Then once we've got that shape on fleek, we can go in with some concealer, and this is mind-blowing what a difference this makes. So I just take a small concealer brush, this one's from Real Techniques, and my Anastasia Beverly Hills concealer. You can use any concealer, this is just the one that I tend to gravitate towards, and I run it directly underneath the wing. When you start to blend it out, you'll really see what a difference this makes in just cleaning up the look and just making everything look extra sharp. And at this point, if you have made any little squiggles or any tiny bumps right underneath where the edge of the wing is, you can really clean it up with the concealer, which